So I'm sure we can all name episodes from Fairly OddParents besides the infamous ones. You have the super toilet one that's popular, or what about CosmoCon? The original one anyway. Or possibly even the one where we meet the Negachin. Or maybe the one where they go into a video game. Or the one where Vicky as a child swapped fairies with Timmy. But I bet you didn't know too much about this episode. Ayo, what is up everyone? It is the Alpha J of the Alpha J Show, and today we're going to talk about one episode that I didn't cover last year that I waited essentially 365 days to cover this year. So let's get you in the mood for this episode. We're in the last part of season 2 of Fairly OddParents at the time, and this episode pops up, but it rarely shows now. I'll cover why towards the end, but let me give you some context first. So the episode starts out jokes firing out merely seconds into the episode, and that's something I enjoyed about old Fairly OddParents. It wanted to make you laugh, but it put a lot of effort into making sure that the jokes hit, and it didn't streamline a certain phrase that I have that people come up to me and say. In fact, I particularly love this joke. It felt like it came straight out of one of those popular YouTube animation shorts from one of the big guys. So as you see, Timmy has a project that he forgot to finish before the due date, which leads into him doing something rash, like bringing back people from time. We established that George Washington likes to chop wood, Benjamin Franklin discovered and is currently zapped by electricity, and Thomas Jefferson likes to write declarations. Now, according to the Wikia, the reason why we don't really see this episode on so often is because of the controversial stereotypes of the presidents, as well as the implication that comes a little later. Now, this is an unfound rumor as far as I know. It could easily be that since it's a holiday-based episode, that it just doesn't air that much, and when you compare that with the fact that Fairly OddParents doesn't air too much in general, you can see why it necessarily wouldn't air too much. But when I combine this with the fact that I haven't seen this episode, no one has really talked about this episode as far as I know, and there are only small recollections of possibly seeing this episode when I talk about it with people. It makes me think that there's a lot more than people realize. Now, I'm not personally offended by these stereotypes, and if we were to get offended by every cliche that Fairly OddParents seem to pick up, there's a lot more cliches that are used heavily and more prominently. But hey, like I said, I don't have the entire context. So as Timmy continues to use his magic to essentially get his homework assignment done in a fun and quote-unquote easier way, Wanda is in the background, essentially warning Timmy that time travel is tricky, and the faster they finish this, the less of a risk anything in the past messes up the present. Timmy, of course, doesn't listen, and it's one of the reasons why I enjoy this episode, because it shows that Timmy was aware and decided not to heed Wanda's warning. Contrast this with later episodes where things just happened because the writers needed something to happen for there to be conflict. I also enjoy the running gag in which the TV is fixed with an axe. It's subtle, it isn't in my face, and it doesn't happen every 4 minutes, and I appreciate that the writers don't need to pointlessly remind me that this was a joke.
It's the guy on the nickel!
Ah, nickel. I'm on the dollar. I'm worth 20 of you!
Well, Jefferson was on the $2 bill, so you can chop your own ego down, son.
And that's the guy on the 100! If I can't touch the money, can I at least touch him? Excuse me?
Divorce this man. Anyway, alright. We get another warning from Wanda before things start to revert back to a simpler time without electricity. Now, I do have to say the implication that these 3 men were implied to be required in order for the war to be won on the American side, and also the British sort of impressions after.
Oh, blimey, son! Look! I'm taking a pound note!
I'll take that, love.
Are somewhat the other reasons why this episode was implied to be controversial. But again, we had Family Guy do this exact same scene, just fleshed out into an entire episode. And again, if we're going to get mad at the cliches of British people being boring and always proper, then we should keep that exact same energy and logic with the other cliches that are used in Fairly OddParents. Again, as an American who's quite heavily invested in history, I don't find this offensive. It's supposed to be funny. It's not meant to be a jab at the other guys or these 3 guys. I'm sure when kids see this, they think that it was funny. They moved on. They thought the episode was good or bad. If anything, you could probably make a jab at the wand tax bit for being lazy. Maybe, and this is just off the top of my head. Instead, you could have just had Cosmo and Wanda essentially have no money to pay the guy with regular taxes, so instead he takes the wand, but it's not my hill to die on, so I'm gonna continue.
I got an idea! Why doesn't he take everybody back on a time scooter?
Great idea, Cosmo! Wait, there's 3 words I never thought I'd say in a row.
You know, if the writers would do this more with Cosmo, I'm 150% sure that he wouldn't have been so hated or flanderized today. Cosmo isn't just a guy who's carelessly stupid. In fact, Cosmo actually isn't that careless, as much as the later seasons seem to portray him. So with your standard revolution music, they hop on the time scooter, which was subtly shown earlier, which I acknowledge and praise, and blast back to 1776. Okay guys, the whole point of a conversation is for both parties to convey their ideas. I'm not sure how well that's going to do if you're both talking, and it kind of defeats the purpose if both of you are trying to talk at the same time. And who thought this was a good animation choice?
I, Benedict Arnold, will be able to betray the American Revolution. I brought you a present to sign. It's called the Declaration of Surrender-pendence.
Well, I don't know.
Come on, Hancock, sign it!
You know, Benedict, not to crap on your plan or anything, but I kind of see a few holes in your strategy. Alright, so let's say John Hancock, the guy who is depicted to love signing things, signs it. Yes, he may enjoy signing things, and yes, you may have one signature, but the way that the system works is to not give one person a lot of power. So with that said, you got the signature not to sign it, but anyone else with a rational mind wouldn't do so. Secondly, even if this were so, I'm sure the American people would not just go with the treaty. I mean, yes, they did sign they would give up, but do they really mean or want it? No, of course not. But then again, considering that in the future, from the past perspective, it turned very British, it is assumed that A, they really did give up, and all of this is based off of Washington's charm. Or B, they didn't give up, but they didn't win. In both ways, it's pretty dark to think about, so I'm just gonna move on.
One of them is gonna turn the future America into a yellow-toothed, electricity-deprived rat hole.
Yeah, and the other one is gonna turn it into a brightly lit, democratically run rat hole.
I know the video stopped. I know you're waiting for my commentary. What? What do you want me to say? My lips are sealed. Just roll the next clip.
A coat rack?
Must chop wood! That's Washington.
Now that's a very neat way to have the running gag then turn into the way that the episode handles the conflict. I definitely enjoyed how this went down, although if you are a history nut, you probably would have said something like George Washington never really signed the Declaration of Independence, or that there are more people who signed the Declaration of Independence. Now, I do want to be clear, and I do want to differ this from my criticism of Grand Theft Auto, the one and only criticism, by the way, of the episode, in which I said that the game details should have been more accurate, because they didn't put forth the effort to make it appear realistic enough, and in all honesty, it didn't really take that much effort to do so. But here I understand this better, because you would have had to draw more characters accurately, possibly hire more voice actors, and then explain how their names are there but we don't see them on the Declaration of Independence. Here it doesn't matter because you have to put in not only a lot more effort, but it doesn't matter in the best interest of the episode either. Getting past that, it's all just too complicated, and this is a nice way to execute it. It's pretty simple. So all is well, and the episode ends with Timmy doing a pretty alright report, but Crocker failing him because he's bitter.
Please welcome my first guest, George Washington. And you, Ben Franklin. And if I had another friend, we'd talk about Thomas Jefferson.
You know, also, if Crocker really didn't like kids so much, why would he always fail them? It kind of always dawned on me that. And I never seem to have an answer for that, because he appears to be the only teacher at this grade level, so wouldn't you want these kids out of your lives? I mean, if you fail them, they'll be back in the same grade, and you're going to be teaching the same grade, I'm assuming, so, I don't know. I don't know, I don't want to think too much about it, but he fails, and that was Twistory. Alright guys, before I get into my usual spiel, I want to say that this episode has a sister episode that also isn't talked about that much, and also isn't aired that much, and I can cover that one too. So let me know if you guys would like that in the comments down below. I do have some other videos in the queue, but when I'm done with those, I will happily work on the sister episode if it's something that I see a lot of interest for. Until then, special thanks to the patrons that support me in July. I will read your lovely names out, not in the next review, but the one after that. What do you guys think of Twistory? Let me know in the comments down below. Follow me at the ALPHAJ Show on Twitter, and go into my request video for any other topic you think I should cover. If you really like this video, you should check out my entire Fairly Odd Parents playlist. I've covered the show a lot. I would recommend my Channel Chasers one, as that's one that a lot of people tend to like, and if you haven't seen it yet, I would highly recommend it. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time. I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.